Discussion on verses 1 to 40 of 40. The leaders of the non-Muslims of Mecca, much like the people before them, employed different methods in order to discourage others from accepting Islam, out of fear of losing their leadership and social influence. One such method was challenging the reality of the Day of Judgment. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 1 to 5.
About what are they asking one another? About the great news, that over which they are in disagreement. No. They are going to know. Then no. They are going to know.
Allah, the Exalted, then invites people to reflect on the creation, which clearly points to a single creator and sustainer, and also serves as a reminder of the certainty of the Day of Judgment. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 6.
Have we not made the earth a resting place?
The earth has been arranged in a remarkably balanced way, allowing it to serve as a place where human life can thrive. It provides the means to cultivate crops, while also offering stable ground for building and development. When observing the different landscapes across the earth, one can see that the vast majority of land exists at a level that is suitable for human habitation. Extremely high altitudes, which are more difficult to reach and contain thinner air, are less suitable for living, while most regions are positioned in a way that supports life comfortably. In addition, accessibility is another clear sign of deliberate design. Some areas are naturally difficult to reach due to terrain, limiting excessive exploitation, while the majority of the earth remains accessible enough for people to benefit from its resources. Furthermore, the resources necessary for survival, such as water, food, and basic materials, are generally available in a way that aligns with human needs. The more essential a resource is, the more readily it can typically be found and utilized. This consistent pattern reflects intentional arrangement rather than random occurrence, pointing clearly to the existence of a purposeful creator. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 7.
And the mountains are stakes.
Mountains are not merely striking features of the landscape. They serve an important role in maintaining the stability of the earth. They function in a way similar to anchors, helping to stabilize the structure of the land and reduce excessive movement. This contributes to an environment in which life can exist in relative stability, allowing rivers to flow, valleys to form, and ecosystems to flourish. In addition, mountains play a significant role in the water system. They help retain and regulate water, including rainfall, ensuring that it can be distributed and used effectively. Water that passes through or gathers in elevated regions becomes a source of fresh water for rivers and streams, supporting agriculture, drinking water, and the needs of both people and animals. This intricate balance across the earth demonstrates careful design and precise organization. The combination of stable land, accessible resources, and functioning natural systems all point toward the wisdom and power of Allah, the Exalted. At the same time, these signs serve as a reminder that just as the earth has been created with purpose and order, human life is also guided by purpose and will ultimately be brought to account on the Day of Judgment. Another clear aspect of divine planning is the continuation of the human race through successive generations, carried on until the appointed end of time. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 8.
And we created you in pairs.
Allah, the Exalted, in His perfect wisdom, placed natural inclinations within human beings that draw them towards one another. These inclinations are not without purpose. They serve to bring comfort, companionship, and emotional stability, while also ensuring the continuation of humanity through family life and future generations. Without these deeply rooted tendencies, most people would lack the motivation to form lasting relationships or raise children, and the survival of the human race would be placed at risk. Chapter 30 Ar-Rum, verse 21.
And of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you love and mercy.
This verse draws attention to the wisdom behind human relationships and how they develop over time. In the earlier stages of life, relationships are often strengthened by attraction and affection, which help bring individuals together and establish families. As time passes and physical strength and outward beauty naturally decline, the bond between individuals evolves into one based on mercy, patience, and mutual care. This transition is not random. It ensures that relationships remain stable and meaningful, even when the initial elements of attraction fade. Mercy becomes the foundation that sustains companionship, allowing individuals to support one another through different stages of life. This leads to stronger family structures and greater emotional balance within society. Such a system reflects careful design. It not only ensures the continuation of the human race, but also nurtures qualities such as patience, responsibility, and selflessness. These qualities are essential for both personal development and the well-being of wider communities. Therefore, the pairing of human beings and the progression of their relationships from attraction to mercy is a clear sign of purposeful creation. It highlights that human life is not based on chance, but on a carefully arranged system designed by Allah the Exalted to provide stability, growth, and tranquility in both individual lives and society as a whole. The path of the sun ensures that the earth receives a precise and balanced cycle of light and darkness, which is essential for the proper functioning of life. The alternation of day and night, along with their gradual variation throughout the year, allows human beings to benefit fully from both periods. If the days were excessively long, people would experience exhaustion, as their bodies and minds would be strained by continuous activity. If the nights were too long, opportunities for work, education, and productivity would be severely limited. Likewise, if nights were shortened, people would be deprived of sufficient rest, leading to long-term harm to their physical and mental well-being. This balance extends beyond human routine and comfort. The cycle of day and night regulates natural processes across the earth. Plants depend on sunlight for growth and darkness for essential biological processes, and any disruption in this balance would negatively impact agriculture and food supply. Animals also rely on these cycles for their patterns of activity, rest, migration, and survival. In this way, the harmony of day and night supports entire ecosystems, not just individual human needs. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 9-11.
And made your sleep a means for rest, and made the night as clothing, and made the day for livelihood.
These verses highlight a deeper wisdom. Sleep is not merely a pause in activity, but a necessary means of renewal that restores strength and clarity. The night being described as a covering reflects how it brings calm, privacy, and relief from the demands of the day. The day, in contrast, is designed for movement, effort, and seeking provision. Each phase complements the other, creating a complete system that sustains both body and mind. Furthermore, this cycle teaches discipline and structure. It encourages a natural rhythm in life, where effort is balanced with rest, and activity is balanced with reflection. When people align themselves with this pattern, they are more likely to maintain a stable and healthy lifestyle. Disrupting this balance, on the other hand, often leads to fatigue, stress, and imbalance in both physical and mental states. The precision and consistency of these cycles, along with countless other balanced systems in the universe, clearly indicate the oneness of Allah, the Exalted. If there were multiple creators with differing wills, such harmony would not exist. Conflicting intentions would lead to disorder and instability. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 22.
Had there been within them, i.e., the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined.
Instead, the seamless coordination observed throughout creation reflects a single, all-powerful creator who has established perfect order. These signs are not only meant to be observed, but also reflected upon. They remind a person that just as the universe operates according to a carefully designed system, human life too has been given guidance to follow. By aligning with this guidance, a person can achieve balance, fulfill their purpose, and attain peace of mind in both this life and the hereafter. When constructing even a simple building, careful planning is essential. Foundations must be laid correctly, pillars must be positioned strategically, and materials must be selected with precision in order to ensure stability and safety. No rational person would look at a well-constructed building and assume that it came into existence by accident, without design, knowledge, or purpose. Rather, its very structure testifies to the existence of a planner, a designer, and a builder. If this is the case for something as limited and simple as a building, then it is far more unreasonable to believe that the vast and intricate system of the skies and the earth came into existence without intention. The skies, with their immense scale, perfect order, and precise balance, operate according to laws that never fail. The movements of celestial bodies, the consistency of natural cycles, and the harmony between different elements of creation all point towards deliberate design and complete control. An accidental origin would inevitably produce disorder, instability, and contradiction. Yet what is observed is consistency, reliability, and balance at every level. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 12.
And constructed above you 7 strong heavens.
The description of the skies as strong reflects their stability, endurance, and perfect construction. They are not fragile or chaotic, but firmly established and precisely maintained. This strength and order are signs of the power and wisdom of Allah, the Exalted, who not only created them, but continues to sustain them without any flaw or collapse. Reflecting on this comparison strengthens certainty that creation is not the result of chance, but the product of perfect knowledge, wisdom, and power. Just as a building requires a builder, the universe requires a creator. Recognizing this truth naturally leads a person to acknowledge their dependence on Allah, the Exalted, and to understand the importance of obeying Him. For the one who designed and sustains such a flawless system is undoubtedly the one who knows best how a person should live within it, so that they may attain balance, purpose, and peace of mind in both this world and the hereafter. The precise positioning of the sun in relation to the earth is yet another powerful indication of deliberate design and perfect balance. If the sun were even slightly closer, the intense heat and radiation would make life unbearable, scorching the earth and destroying its ecosystems. On the other hand, if it were slightly further away, the earth would become too cold, freezing water sources and making survival impossible. This exact distance is not random. It reflects a finely tuned system that sustains life with precision. In addition to this, the earth has been created with a protective and balanced atmosphere. This atmosphere filters harmful radiation, regulates temperature, and allows beneficial sunlight to reach the surface in measured amounts. Without this protective layer, life would either burn under excessive radiation or perish due to extreme temperature fluctuations. This balance ensures that the sun, despite being a powerful and potentially destructive force, becomes a source of life, energy, and growth. The movement and path of the sun further reinforce this balance. The cycle of day and night provides a natural rhythm for life, periods of light for activity, work, and growth, and periods of darkness for rest, recovery, and reflection. This cycle is essential not only for human well-being but also for agriculture, as crops depend on consistent patterns of sunlight and darkness to grow properly. Any disruption in this balance, whether longer days, shorter nights, or irregular cycles, would have severe consequences for all living beings. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 13.
And made therein a burning lamp.
If any aspect of this system were altered, even slightly, the result would be catastrophic for life on earth. Such precision cannot be the product of chance. Rather, it points to the perfect knowledge and power of Allah, the Exalted, who has designed and sustained this system in a way that allows life to flourish. Reflecting on this sign leads a person to recognize not only the existence of a creator, but also his wisdom in providing everything necessary for life, thereby encouraging gratitude, obedience, and mindful living. When one reflects on the water cycle with an open and thoughtful mind, its precision and balance clearly point to deliberate design rather than randomness. Water from the oceans evaporates under the heat of the sun, rises into the atmosphere, and condenses into clouds. From there, it returns to the earth as rain in carefully measured quantities. This process is continuous, controlled, and essential for sustaining life. The rain that falls is not chaotic or excessive by default, but regulated. Too little rainfall results in drought, crop failure, and famine, while too much leads to flooding, destruction, and loss of life. Yet, in general, it descends in a balanced and measured way, sufficient to sustain ecosystems across the earth. Chapter 23 Al-Musminin, verse 18.
And we have sent down rain from the sky in a measured amount and settled it in the earth. And indeed, we are able to take it away.
Furthermore, when rainwater falls upon mountainous regions, it undergoes natural processes of filtration and purification. These landscapes play a crucial role in storing and gradually releasing fresh water into rivers, streams, and underground reservoirs, making it accessible for people, animals, and agriculture. This demonstrates another layer of balance within creation, where different elements work together in harmony to produce life-sustaining resources. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 14.
And sent down from the rain clouds pouring water.
The outcome of this water cycle is one of the most remarkable signs, the revival of the earth. From seemingly lifeless soil, plants, crops, and entire ecosystems emerge. Seeds that appear dead and insignificant come to life, producing grain, vegetation, and flourishing gardens. This transformation is beyond human ability. Despite all advancements in agriculture, people cannot create life from a seed. They can only facilitate the conditions, while the actual process of growth remains under divine control. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 15 to 16.
That we may bring forth thereby grain and vegetation, and gardens of entwined growth.
These verses draw attention to the diversity, beauty, and productivity of plant life, all of which depend on the perfectly balanced water cycle. The emergence of such variety from the same water, soil, and sunlight further demonstrates precise control and wisdom. If any part of this system were altered, the evaporation process, cloud formation, rainfall distribution, or the Earth's ability to absorb and store water, the consequences would be catastrophic for all living beings. Such intricate balance cannot be attributed to chance. Rather, it clearly indicates the existence of a creator who governs every detail with perfect knowledge and power. If Allah, the Exalted, can bring a lifeless seed back to life after it has been buried in the earth, then resurrecting the human being, who is likewise placed into the ground, is not difficult for the one who created both in the first place. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 17 to 18.
Indeed, the day of judgment is an appointed time. The day the horn is blown and you will come forth in multitudes.
The changing of the seasons offers yet another compelling sign. During winter, trees stand stripped and barren, their branches devoid of color, life, and vitality. They appear lifeless, as though their existence has come to an end. Yet when spring arrives, a remarkable transformation takes place. Leaves begin to emerge, flowers blossom, and entire landscapes that once seemed dead are revived with color and energy. This cycle repeats itself year after year, quietly but powerfully affirming the reality that life can return after apparent death. This pattern is not limited to the natural world around us. It is also evident within the human body itself. Renewal is a constant process. Skin cells, blood cells, and numerous other tissues are continuously dying and being replaced. The human body is in a perpetual state of regeneration, yet this ongoing renewal often goes unnoticed, even though it carries profound implications about life, death, and restoration. Similar signs can be observed across various forms of life. A caterpillar enters a cocoon in a state that resembles lifelessness, only to emerge later as a butterfly, completely transformed, as though it has been granted a new existence. Certain desert plants can remain dry and dormant for years, appearing entirely lifeless, yet as soon as rain touches them, they spring into life with astonishing speed and beauty. Forests that have been devastated by fire, reduced to ash and ruin, eventually recover as new growth emerges from the scorched earth and entire ecosystems are restored. Even animals provide examples of this reality. Creatures that hibernate enter deep states where their bodily functions slow dramatically, closely resembling death, yet they awaken when conditions change, returning to full activity and strength. The oceans too reflect this pattern. Coral reefs that appear lifeless after bleaching can regenerate when favorable conditions return, bringing life back to underwater ecosystems. The skies above also display this principle. Stars collapse and disperse their elements into space, and from this scattered material, new stars and planets are formed. In this way, creation emerges from what appears to be destruction, reinforcing the same underlying reality. The daily cycle of sleep and awakening is another clear sign. Sleep resembles a minor form of death, as a person's senses are suspended and their awareness withdrawn. Then, upon awakening, life is restored once more. Chapter 39 Az-Zumar, verse 42.
Allah takes the souls at the time of their death, and those that do not die He takes during their sleep. Then He keeps those for which He has decreed death, and releases the others for a specified term. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought.
Beyond these signs of renewal, the Day of Judgment is also a necessary reality. When one reflects upon the universe, countless examples of balance become apparent. The Earth exists at a precise distance from the Sun. Even a slight change would render it uninhabitable. The water cycle operates with perfect regulation, ensuring that life can continue. The ground itself is balanced in such a way that delicate shoots can break through it to produce crops, while at the same time it is strong enough to support heavy structures. These and many other examples clearly demonstrate not only the existence of a creator, but also the presence of precise balance throughout creation. However, there is one area where this balance is not fully realized in this world: the actions of human beings. It is often observed that oppressive and tyrannical individuals escape justice, while those who suffer oppression and hardship do not receive complete compensation for their patience. Many who sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, endure trials and receive only a limited share of reward in this life, whereas those who openly disobey Him may enjoy comfort and luxury. Since Allah, the Exalted, has established balance in all aspects of creation, it follows that the outcomes of human actions must also be balanced. As this is not fully achieved in this world, it must occur in another, on the Day of Judgment. Allah, the Exalted, has the power to fully reward and punish in this life, yet His wisdom dictates otherwise. He grants people repeated opportunities to repent and reform, delaying punishment as a mercy. Likewise, He does not grant complete reward to the righteous in this world, as this world is not paradise. Moreover, belief in what is unseen, particularly the full reward awaiting in the next life, is a fundamental aspect of faith. If reward and punishment were fully visible in this world, faith would lose its depth and significance. Maintaining a balance between fear of punishment and hope for reward encourages a person to avoid wrongdoing and strive towards righteous actions. These two forces guide behavior and strengthen commitment to what is right. For the day of recompense to take place, this worldly life must come to an end. Final judgment can only occur once all actions have ceased. As long as people continue to act, the process of recompense cannot begin. Therefore, the conclusion of this world is inevitable, whether sooner or later. Reflecting deeply on these realities strengthens certainty in the Day of Judgment. This certainty, in turn, motivates a person to prepare by correctly using the blessings they have been granted, in accordance with the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through this, a person attains balance within themselves, properly organizes every aspect of their life, and achieves peace of mind and success in both this world and the hereafter. Chapter 45 Al-Jatiyah, verse 22.
For Allah created the heavens and the earth for a purpose, so that every soul may be paid back for what it has committed, and none will be wronged.
And chapter 78 and Naba, verses 17 to 18.
Indeed, the day of judgment is an appointed time. The day the horn is blown and you will come forth in multitudes.
The essential lesson is that this is a call which no one will be able to ignore or refuse. It is a summons that will inevitably be answered, leading to resurrection and final judgment. Since this outcome is certain, it is only wise for a person to respond now, willingly and sincerely, rather than being compelled to respond later when no choice remains. For this reason, a person should respond to the call of Allah, the Exalted, conveyed through the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, by adopting sincere obedience. This includes fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing every aspect of destiny with patience, in accordance with the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through this response, a person ensures that the blessings they have been granted are used in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 8 and Anfal, verse 24.
O you who have believed, respond to Allah and to the Messenger when He calls you to that which gives you life.
This life is not merely physical existence, but a higher form of life, one filled with purpose, balance, and true peace of mind. It is a life in which a person correctly understands their role, organizes their priorities, and prepares for what lies ahead. The one who answers this call in this world will find the final call far easier to face. Their heart will already be accustomed to obedience, their actions aligned with guidance, and their preparation complete. In contrast, the one who lives in heedlessness, ignoring this call and misusing the blessings they have been granted, will not find peace even in this world. When the final call is made, they will be forced to respond, but it will be a moment of immense burden, fear and regret. No one can ignore this call indefinitely. It will come without doubt, sooner or later, and when it does, no one will be able to delay it, escape it, or turn away from it. Recognizing this inevitability, it is only logical and beneficial to respond now, in a state of willingness and awareness, rather than waiting until one is compelled to respond without the ability to act. If a person hears that final call while remaining heedless, no regret, excuse, or delayed action will be of any benefit. What follows for such a person will be far more severe and overwhelming. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 19 to 30.
And the heaven is opened, and will become gateways. And the mountains are removed and will be but a mirage. Indeed, hell has been lying in wait for the transgressors, a place of return, in which they will remain for ages. They will not taste therein any coolness or drink, except scalding water and foul purulence, an appropriate recompense. Indeed, they were not expecting an account, and denied our verses with emphatic denial. But all things we have enumerated in writing. So taste, and never will we increase you except in torment.
One of the key reasons why the realities of the hereafter, such as the Day of Judgment and Hell, are described with such clarity and detail in Islamic teachings, is to correct the false beliefs that developed among earlier nations. Many people came to trivialize these realities, treating them lightly or even turning them into matters of mockery. This attitude did not arise from sound understanding, but from wishful thinking, where individuals continued to disobey Allah, the Exalted, while convincing themselves that they would still achieve success and salvation. These false assumptions appeared in various forms. Some relied on the status or intercession of righteous individuals, without making any effort to reform themselves. Others believed that a simple verbal declaration of faith would be sufficient for salvation, regardless of their actions. There were also those who assumed that excuses or last-minute repentance would automatically be accepted on the Day of Judgment, irrespective of how they lived their lives. In addition, some imagined that the punishments of the hereafter would be mild or comparable to worldly hardships, thereby underestimating their severity. In order to remove these misunderstandings, Islamic teachings present the realities of the hereafter in a vivid and detailed manner. These descriptions are meant to convey the seriousness of what lies ahead, so that people reflect deeply and prepare accordingly. Their purpose is not to drive a person into despair, but to awaken the heart, correct false hopes, and inspire a return to sincere obedience. This obedience involves using every blessing granted by Allah, the Exalted, in ways that are pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. When a person internalizes these teachings, they are protected from complacency and false confidence. They begin to live with a sense of accountability, sincerity, and purpose. As a result, their life becomes balanced and ordered. They place everything and everyone in their proper position, develop a stable mental and physical state, and prepare effectively for what lies ahead. In doing so, they secure not only protection from punishment but also success and peace of mind in both this world and the hereafter. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 31 to 37.
Indeed, for the righteous is attainment, gardens and grapevines, and young women companions of equal age, and a full cup. No ill speech will they hear therein or any falsehood. As reward from your Lord, a generous gift made due by account. From the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and whatever is between them, the most merciful.
These verses makes it clear that success in the hereafter, and by extension in this world, through peace of mind, is only obtainable to those who support their verbal declaration of faith in Allah, the Exalted, with actions. If one fails to adopt the right behavior, no excuses or pleas will be accepted by Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 78 and Naba, verses 37 to 38.
They possess not from him authority for speech. The day that the Spirit and the angels will stand in rows, they will not speak except for one whom the most merciful permits, and he will say what is correct.
These verses point towards the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who will be granted the honor of interceding for others on the Day of Judgment. This is established in many Islamic teachings. However, although such intercession will take place by the permission of Allah, the Exalted, it must never be treated lightly or as something trivial. To do so risks losing the very mercy that one hopes to receive. A mocking attitude towards intercession often comes from a false sense of security, where a person neglects to live according to the guidance of Islam, yet still expects salvation to be granted regardless. This mindset is dangerous, as it combines negligence with misplaced confidence. A person who mocks or undermines the concept of intercession may even find that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, will bear witness against them on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 25 Al-Furqan, verse 30.
And the messenger has said, O my Lord, indeed my people have taken this Quran as a thing abandoned.
This verse is directed specifically toward those who follow Islam, as they are the community that has recognized and accepted the Holy Quran. In contrast, those who have not accepted its guidance cannot be described as having abandoned it, since they were never among its followers. The outcome for any person who belongs to the Muslims and against whom the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, testifies on the Day of Judgment is clear and self-evident. Even where intercession is granted, it should not be misunderstood as a guarantee of complete deliverance from punishment. It may, by the permission of Allah the Exalted, reduce the severity of consequences, but it does not remove the seriousness of one's actions. Even the smallest exposure to hell is something beyond human endurance and should not be taken lightly. For this reason, true hope in intercession must always be accompanied by genuine effort. A person should actively strive to use the blessings they have been given in a way that aligns with the guidance of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Hope without effort leads to deception, while effort without hope leads to despair. A balanced approach is required. Ultimately, all matters of intercession rest entirely with Allah, the Exalted. It is He alone who grants permission for it according to His wisdom. Therefore, a person should live with a sense of accountability, balancing hope in mercy with awareness of responsibility, and preparing for the day when every action will be fully accounted for, by correctly using the blessings they have been granted as outlined in Islamic teachings. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 39.
That is the true day, so he who wills may take to his Lord a way of return.
Allah the Exalted concludes this chapter with a clear warning about how near the Day of Judgment truly is. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 40.
Indeed, we have warned you of a near punishment.
Even if the Day of Judgment appears distant in terms of years, the reality is that a person's accountability effectively begins at the moment of death, and death is something that is never far away. For this reason, a person should not fall into the illusion of having unlimited time, as such thinking delays sincere preparation for what is certain to come. A person only needs to reflect on their daily routine over a 24-hour period to recognize this imbalance. How much time is spent on worldly matters compared to how much is devoted to preparing for the hereafter? This reflection alone can reveal whether a person is truly ready or merely postponing what must be done. False hope in a long life is one of the most effective tools used by the devil to mislead people. When a person believes they have ample time, they delay repentance, postpone self-improvement, and put off turning back to Allah, the Exalted. They tell themselves that change can happen later, yet that later often never arrives. Many people pass away without ever having taken those first sincere steps. This false sense of security also encourages attachment to material wealth. A person begins to accumulate and hoard, believing they must prepare for a long future in this world. Fear is instilled that, in old age, they may be alone and unable to earn, and so they rely entirely on stockpiling worldly resources. In doing so, they forget that Allah, the Exalted, who provided for them in their youth, is fully capable of providing for them in their old age as well. In fact, provision was already decreed long before creation, as confirmed in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 6748. It is remarkable how a person may spend decades saving for retirement, an outcome that is uncertain and often short-lived, yet neglect preparation for the eternal life to come. This reflects a clear imbalance in priorities. At the same time, Islam does not forbid preparation for worldly needs. There is nothing wrong with planning for the near future, or managing resources responsibly. However, the crucial point is that the hereafter must always remain the priority. A person should live in the world, but not become consumed by it. Although many people acknowledge that death can come at any time, their actions often contradict this belief. They live as though they will remain in this world indefinitely. Yet, if they were granted the certainty of a very long life, even then they would still be unable to maximize their efforts due to the natural limitations of time, day and night. This highlights how limited human opportunity truly is. Countless people pass away earlier than expected. The real question is how many of those who witness such events take heed and adjust their behavior accordingly. One of the greatest regrets a person will experience at the time of death, or in the stages of the hereafter, is the realization that they delayed preparing for it. Chapter 63 Al-Munafiqun, verses 10 to 11.
And spend in the way of Allah from what we have provided you before death approaches one of you, and he says, My Lord, if only you would delay me for a brief term, so I would give charity and be of the righteous. But never will Allah delay a soul when its time has come. And Allah is aware of what you do.
A simple comparison makes this reality easier to understand. A person who invests most of their time and wealth into a temporary dwelling they will only occupy briefly would be considered unwise, especially if they neglect preparing for a permanent home they intend to live in for a very long time. The same applies to giving preference to this temporary world over the eternal hereafter. A person should aim to maintain a balance between fulfilling worldly responsibilities and preparing for the hereafter. However, it must be understood that death does not arrive at a predictable time, age, or situation. It comes unexpectedly, entirely by the decree of Allah, the Exalted. For this reason, preparation for death and what follows must take priority over planning for a future in this world, which is uncertain and not guaranteed. If a person fails to actively prepare by using the blessings granted by Allah, the Exalted, in the manner outlined in Islamic guidance, this imbalance will begin to affect their life. Their mental and physical state can become unstable, and they may lose proper perspective, placing things and people in the wrong priorities within their life. As a result, they experience stress, hardship, and ongoing difficulty, even if they possess worldly comforts and luxuries. More importantly, because they neglected to prepare for their accountability on the Day of Judgment, their outcome in the hereafter will be far more severe. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 40.
On the day when a man will observe what his hands have put forth, and the disbeliever will say, Oh, I wish that I were dust.
A person should understand that regret exists in two distinct forms. The first type relates to worldly matters, such as missing opportunities in marriage, family life, or other personal goals. The second type relates to the hereafter, such as failing to utilize time, wealth, and abilities in a way that pleases Allah, the Exalted. Worldly regrets are temporary by nature. They either come to an end when a person achieves what they desired, changes their perspective, or reaches the end of their life. Even when they cause sadness, they do not result in lasting punishment, and they will ultimately disappear, especially if the person is granted paradise through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. In contrast, the regrets of the hereafter are far more serious and enduring. The time spent in the grave and on the Day of Judgment is far longer than a person's life in this world. These regrets will not come to an end unless a person is admitted into paradise, which is not guaranteed and may only occur after an extended period. Chapter 22 Al-Hajj, verse 47.
And indeed, a day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of those which you count.
Because of this, these regrets carry far greater weight, as they are directly connected to one's final outcome and potential punishment. Therefore, a person should reflect carefully on this reality and show kindness to themselves by striving to remove the causes of regret in the hereafter, before focusing on removing worldly regrets. By prioritizing preparation for what is eternal, a person protects themselves from lasting loss and moves towards true success and balance in both this life and the next. Chapter 78 and Naba, verse 40.
On the day when a man will observe what his hands have put forth, and the disbeliever will say, "Oh, I wish that I were dust."
Therefore, a person should accept and apply the guidance of Islam for their own benefit, even when it conflicts with personal desires. This can be understood by comparing it to a wise patient who follows a doctor's instructions. Such a patient may be given bitter medicine or placed on a strict diet, yet they comply because they trust that the advice is for their well-being. In the same way, a person who submits to the guidance of Islam, even when it requires discipline or sacrifice, ultimately attains true balance in both mind and body. This is because the one who possesses complete and perfect knowledge of human beings and their needs is Allah, the Exalted. No system created by society, no matter how advanced, can achieve the same level of understanding. Human knowledge remains limited, shaped by incomplete experience, restricted foresight, and personal bias. As a result, it cannot fully address every challenge a person faces, nor can it guarantee a life free from emotional or physical distress. It also cannot ensure that a person places everything and everyone in their life in the correct order. In contrast, Allah the Exalted has granted guidance through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This guidance is complete and designed to lead a person toward true balance. Its effectiveness can be observed when comparing those who follow it sincerely with those who do not. Although a patient often follows medical advice without fully understanding the science behind it, placing trust in the expertise of the doctor, Allah the Exalted, does not require blind submission. Instead, he encourages people to reflect deeply on the teachings of Islam so that they can recognize their truth through clear evidence and experience their positive effects in life. This requires approaching the teachings with sincerity, openness, and a willingness to learn. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, "This is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me."
Furthermore, since Allah the Exalted alone has control over the inner state of a person's heart, the true center of peace and emotional well-being, it is He alone who grants tranquility and contentment. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
From this, it becomes clear that lasting peace of mind is not something that can be secured through material means alone or through human effort in isolation. Rather, it is granted by Allah the Exalted to those who align their lives with His guidance, using the blessings they have been given in the manner outlined in Islamic teachings. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.